and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is October 10th. It's Thursday, 2019, and we got to talk about last night. Yes, last night. These kind of things happen a little too much. Sometimes what happens with old Smaulgld, as many of you know, have been watching this show for a few years, every now and then I slip in a little worried character who gives his point of view on what's going on. And it's very, very obvious to Smaulgld listeners what's going on. In fact, Smaulgld listeners are used to these types of intermittent, over-the-top type of broadcast. Now, last night's was called Repo Disaster Signals Economic Collapse and Death of the Dollar. Now, one thing that is obvious to most people who follow this channel is that's the type of headline that I abhor and that we see all the time. And I knew if I put that headline out, I would get twice the amount of visitors and half the amount of time. And absolument, that's what happened. Attracted a much larger audience last night. They all wanted to hear about the disaster, the collapse, the absolute panic because of the repo, and I do these videos in a, and then there's the repo, and the Fed is doing the repo, and I went on like that, and it should have been obvious to, and it was obvious to many, that I was talking about how I had discovered that the Fed wasn't only just doing the repo, but that I had received information that the Fed was secretly doing the reverse repo, which is a real problem because when things are going backwards, it's really a problem. Then I was talking about how the Fed is taking collaterals, they're collecting CDOs, CLOs, ICOs, and HBOs. And the reaction to this, most people caught the joke, was that I was mocking the entire coverage of the repo issue, which the night before I had done a video called How the Fed's Overnight and Term Repos Impact the Balance Sheet. Now, if you want to learn anything about what's happening, instead of having people just make up stuff for you where they either don't know or don't want to know what's going on, they want to fill in the blanks, and they want to either show off their ignorance and then parlay that into the ignorance of their audience so they can all get riled up into some big anti-Fed collapse party. Listen to that video, How the Fed's Overnight and Term Repos Impact the Balance Sheet. And that gives you the information. I mean, you don't have to agree with everything that's in there, but I back up everything that I say in that video. And that's the video I want people to watch. I don't want people to watch a video of me sounding like Nervous Nelly because I run the risk, and I'll tell you what the three reactions were. The first reaction was the Smaulgld Mug stackers, game changers, they got it right away. They had a good knees up over it. They thumbs up it and went on their merry way. Unfortunately, there were some people who actually thought it was real. I mean, repo disaster, economic collapse, death of the dollar. I mean, they're tuning in because that's what they want to hear. And some people actually believed that I was parlaying real information. And this is the danger here. They take it like someone mentioned, it's like the War of the Worlds. They actually believe that the reverse repo is some secret thing where the Fed is going in reverse, and it's a problem because the Fed's a pawn shop and is taking HBOs as collateral. So you run the risk. So I on purpose, I had planned to take it down. I did take it down. And what I hoped was that people would then see the most recent video, which is how the Fed's overnight and term repos impact the balance sheet, and gain some traffic for that. So it definitely was clickbait, but it's no different than any other of these pumper channels. But then I got the third response was outrage. Wasn't, haha, that's funny, and it wasn't, wow, that's real, and I better get to my bunker. There was this outrage, and a couple of comments reflected it. It went something like this: "This is all wrong. I shouldn't be here. I should be binge watching my economic collapse pumper YouTube videos. How dare you? You have stolen my economic dreams, economic collapse. In my evening with your empty words. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire financial ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass financial extinction. And all you can talk about are your mugs, your game changers, your gemstones, and your silver dimes. How dare you? I got that and I thought, oh my goodness. I got one comment. You can't see because I took the whole video down. It was like 17 pages about what I should be talking about and how I shouldn't be joking around about something as serious as this. And of course, they threatened to pull their patronage. It's usually, it's $2 or it's $1 or it's nothing. Who knows what it was? But or the best is when people threaten to unsubscribe because they don't like the channel. Okay, sorry. How dare you? People are suffering. Anyway, that's what happened last night. As someone wrote right here in the comments section, which is interesting, last night was self-explanatory. Absolutely. Last night was clearly self-explanatory for the Smaulgld mug stackers and game changers. They know that what I like to do is present real information, and I despise all these pumper channels, uninformed or just making up stuff, talking about collapse, disaster, death of the dollar, game over. It's the same crowd that pumped gold, back yuan, and Shemitah. One story after the other, greatest wealth transfer this decade, and so on. Those things I don't think, and other than if you're addicted to hearing that kind of stuff and you need to hear it, you want to hear it, you want to be triggered about stuff, go ahead and have at it. There's plenty of other channels that do that kind of stuff. I don't do it. In fact, I give you the facts, and those videos don't do as well as the absolute parody videos that I do, where I come on. I had one video had like 15,000 views. I went on with the worried voice, and I said the price of gold will be $12,348,000.26, and the price of silver will be the same on September 12th, 2016. People were thumbing it up and saying, I hope you're right. There's just a lot of, we got a moron here. People want to believe that stuff. They've been conditioned to believe it. They tune in to hear it. And last night we got a big crowd, but again, I took it down because I don't want people actually believing it and thinking that that's what the channel is about. I have enough trolls. I don't need more who want to believe that kind of stuff. And then they get mad because what I don't do when I present the facts, they want me then to turn around and just start ranting and raving and bashing the Fed. And it's like a pawn shop. And it's... Anyway, that's what happened. So let's see what you guys are thinking in the comments section. And we'll get back to our regular programming, where I will give you the facts and my analysis of what I see. And you don't believe the official narrative. Okay, calm down. All right, let's see what we have here. Max Strong says, greeting Christian Borgstrom. He must be from Sverige. Says, YouTube drama yahoos. Absolutely. Anthony M, are you saying nothing is wrong with this repo? I'm confused about this. You see, Anthony, if you listen to what I've said, I've absolutely said that this repo thing in itself doesn't mean anything. All it is it's indicative of the entire control that the Fed attempts to place over the market in conjunction with 29 primary dealers, 14 of them who are foreign, by absolutely intervening in the system in a massive way. When they did QE, when they increased their balance sheet, when they decided to lower, all this is a direct consequence of having intervened in the first place. This in and of itself means nothing. What means everything is that the whole system is out of whack because the whole system is run through central banks, through central bank coordination of the monetary policy. Mario Draghi's part of this too. When he's talking, he's not doing this off on his own. The ECB did QE at direct instructions of Stanley Fischer, the vice chair of the Federal Reserve under the Yellen jurisdiction or the Yellen regime. And he told Mario, why don't you try QE? You need to do QE because we're stopping ours at the end of the year. So have at it. And then Mario said, what about the helicopter money? Should we print the money? Should we give out the money? What about the fiscal policy, the monetary policy? All these guys are in on it. So when they have to step up and add, quote, liquidity, it isn't all of a sudden cause for alarm. All it is what the cause for alarm is the whole shebang, the way the whole thing operates. The fact that they have to do this is part of what the whole system is. So this idea that it's a pawn shop and then you invent what collateral they're taking and you can't trust the Fed and we don't know what they're taking. And then you say, oh, I found out they're taking mortgage-backed securities. Yeah, you didn't find that out. They said that from day one. It's on the website. And that's what I showed last night. And there's a difference between mortgage-backed securities issued by banks and agency mortgage-backed securities, which is what the Fed takes, which are guaranteed by the full faith and credit of the United States. And again, what I despise is the getting all excited based on either ignorance, calculated or otherwise. Just some people just don't know any better and they just assume, oh, I don't know this, so I'm going to start assuming stuff, and then the audience is equally ignorant, and then they assume stuff, and then everyone assumes stuff, and then they say, well, you can't prove it's not true. Okay. And that's the kind of stuff I have no tolerance for, and I think that's what every channel I've seen covering the repo has been going off on, speculating, saying it means this or that, it means recession, everyone's panicked. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that the Fed's a pawn shop. It doesn't mean that the Fed is taking bad collateral. The whole thing is designed, as little Greta might say, to give them the economic collapse jolt that they need every night. And I'm sorry, I think that's, if that's what people like, I guess it's entertainment. The problem is a lot of people take this stuff very seriously. And my point is, if you're going to take it seriously, then you really should understand what's going on. Not take what you imagine or some YouTube pumper tells you might be going on. Because if you're going to prepare and you're going to be against something, you should know what you're against. And you shouldn't be against imaginary things. And that's the real danger. People get all riled up about what the Fed's doing, and they don't even know what the Fed's doing. And then their point is, well, if we don't know what they're doing, we have to assume that they're a pawn shop. Okay. If that's how you want to think, then conduct your affairs accordingly. Go ahead. All right. Chuck and Plot. Hey, Lewis, I hope you're the guy the McDonald's employs to announce they're now accepting silver for food purposes. Yeah, that's ever going to happen. U.S. dollar collapse, game over. Let's see. JB Wentworth. Smaulgld, you recently mentioned that charting is not your thing. Do you use any tools for assessing the market's probabilities? No. I don't try to predict the markets. What I do, and again, I think it's probably one of the dumbest things you can do, is go on YouTube thinking you're going to find like these guys, they're going to help you out. Like they know, first of all, most of them don't know anything. Most of them haven't either had a job in any type of, at all, where they have any real understanding of what's going on. Secondly, many of them are receiving payments to bring guests on to promote some nonsense. So they're already tainted in that sense. Many of them are looking just to build audience, and they're going to tell you what you want to hear. Or many of them are just selling product. So they're going to tell you gold and silver set to skyrocket. So if you go online looking for and you think, well, he's like me because he likes the Austrian Economist, or he's like me because he's for sound money. Well, the only reason you're probably for all that stuff is because you listen to other videos by other people, and they create an entire ecosystem that's collapsing. No, they create an entire ecosystem where you now believe that everybody that's in that ecosystem, and that little echo chamber is probably a better word for it, is on your side, and you're all fighting the man, you're fighting the Fed, and you're for sound money, and you'll buy anything that they're selling. And you don't look up after 10 years. They've been telling you things like the gold-silver ratio is unsustainable. And they all repeat it, and they all repeat it, and it goes higher and higher. And then they try to tell you, they try to tell you something. Then when I come out and explain why the gold-silver ratio is higher, this guy, he doesn't understand. It's unsustainable. I mean, they create a false reality or their own reality. They insist it's true, and then they get all their parrots to repeat it. So much that everyone actually believes that maybe silver's gone up and has been the greatest wealth transfer in the last... Think about it. Mike Baloney said back in 2010, greatest wealth transfer happens this decade. He's got 4 months left on that one. He said that by 2015, no later than 2015, you'll probably be able to buy a single-family home for less than 300 ounces, probably 200 ounces of silver. I mean, this is what qualifies as expert status. And they keep repeating it, and the audience grows bigger and bigger, and everyone believes it, and you'll see. And I think it's a problem if people go online and they continue to listen and continue to believe this type of stuff. I don't know why you would do it. I think it's against your own self-interest, but I guess once you've latched on to these concepts, you never give them up. All right, Mike Hernus, please don't quit. Yeah, well, the thing is, the point is with all this is that what I present, there's no big market for. There really isn't. The market is for. The videos I flashed on the screen last night, some had 40, 50, 60,000 views, and they all had panic and collapse and recession and repo and madness and pawn shop. People get on there, and the consumers of YouTube video want that. Doesn't have to be true. And in fact, they get pissed off if you tell them it's not true. What do you know? There's a collapse coming. I can feel it. How dare you? All right, what else do we have? Right now, the Dominican Republic. Interesting. All right, we're back. I think we're back. Yeah. I don't think I missed. Oh, we're back. Okay. Mike Kearney says, how about the people that don't even know the fiat dollar system is flawed? I feel super sorry for them than for the people that are super paranoid. Here's the problem with that analysis, Mike. You've probably heard so many videos explaining why the fiat dollar system is flawed. And there's flaws to it, no two ways about it. But that makes the assumption that there's absolutely nothing redeemable about the fiat dollar. Nothing. that the fiat dollar system has created such misery in the world that your life right now is miserable because of the fiat dollar system. Everyone on earth is miserable because of the fiat dollar system. Now, I don't believe that. There's flaws to a gold standard, many flaws to a gold. The gold standard that we have is very flawed. It was actually a dollar standard, and the U.S. had to back the entire world's financial system with a dollar that was supposedly backed by gold and would be called upon to redeem its gold if any country who had dollars, central bank, wanted to bring it. That's flawed as anything. And that means that the money supply can grow, but the problem with that is if the gold supply doesn't grow and the economy grows since 1944 to 71, let's say it grows by 2 or 3 times and the gold supply doesn't, and they don't let the price of gold float, that's a huge problem. That's why they had to try to manipulate the gold price with the London Gold Pool to keep it at $35, because the markets realized that the price of gold was set at $35 in 1934. And in 1968, it was still $35. There's something wrong with that. So when the governments control gold and control the gold price, that system is bad too. So what people do is they've convinced themselves of the glory days of the gold standard. When the government controlled and set the price of gold and took it from you and you weren't allowed to own it, like those were the good old days? No, they weren't. So yeah, when people act like the fiat dollar system is like the worst thing ever, it's flawed. Any system is flawed. You're not going to get agreement on any system. I guarantee you, if you were living in 1968 and you have the views that you had right now, and you weren't allowed to buy gold, and the price of gold was $35, and it had been $35 and was fixed at $35, and you knew there was a lot of problems in the system, but you weren't allowed to buy gold, I don't think you'd be for the Bretton Woods gold standard. You see, what happens is you get this one-sided, because you're talking to gold pumpers. They want you to buy gold. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reason they go on and on about the fiat system, dollar collapse, China to crush the dollar, it's all about undermining faith in the fiat currency system so that you buy gold. Now, it's not that there's not any truth to any of that. But it's not all bad. And if it was all bad, people make it sound like, well, then you're shilling for the dollar. No. There are plenty of people around the world who don't know anything about the fiat dollar system. They lead healthy, wealthy lives. I mean, they do. And maybe just as many do today as did in the 1950s and 60s. I don't know, but the point is that to be convinced that the only thing that matters in the world is a silver standard or a gold standard, I think is missing the point, and it is so narrow-minded that all we should have is gold and silver. They were doing a thing today, Baloney and Matthew. Other than gold and silver, which of course are the core. Why, of course, are they the core? Because you believe that gold and silver, I don't know, you just have to believe that. You've heard it so much that you have to have gold, only gold and silver. No one has ever gotten rich on anything other than gold and silver. No one will ever get rich unless they have gold or silver. It belies just common sense. You look around the world, you see all the rich people. They're not all bankers. Most of them have no gold, have no silver. I mean, to a person who's not steeped in the gold and silver echo chamber, it's obvious. But to the crowd that loves this economic collapse stuff, it's not. They think they see something that no one else sees, and you'll see. And if you just listen to enough of these videos and binge watch them, it's going to happen. It's mathematically certain. It's the whole narrative. And this gets people clicking on the videos. It gets people buying the newsletter, buying the gold, buying the silver, and coming back for more. And the greatest thing they get is when everyone else echoes it and gets mad when somebody says, well, maybe that's not true. So the fiat system is good until the day it isn't. Don't save in dollars. Well, I don't disagree with that, Mike. I mean, we've talked about this. Like saving in dollars, even Yellen says the dollar's not a good star of value. But the dollar's a good thing to spend for sure. It's one of the best things to save short term so that you can spend on everything from rent to car payments to food for gold. I mean, and in fact, it's such a great currency for spending You quote your price of silver and gold in dollars all the time. You obsess over it. So it's not like it's a total throwaway that the world, like we're going to walk around with silver coins in our pockets. I don't think that would only happen in an emergency. And I'm not sure. I mean, look at Venezuela. Do you think the people in Venezuela 10, 15 years ago were hoping, people who own gold and silver, that their economy would collapse? That'd be a good thing. Like if I lived in Venezuela, Argentina, it'd be great if the economy collapsed because I have gold and silver. I think you'd rather not have the gold and silver and not be in Venezuela right now. The only thing the gold and silver is good for in Venezuela is nothing to buy, is to get out of there. So I don't think you would root for that if you like it. You live in Venezuela. You were born in Venezuela. I don't think you wanted your country to go to the dogs. That's kind of what they tell you to hope for. That's this whole like China to crush the dollar. Like somehow you're supposed to be cheering on China. I don't understand that. Well, because China is not your gold buddy. All right. I think that's it for tonight. And we will see you tomorrow. I'll have a regular show for you tomorrow. Yep. Have a good night. We'll bring Bernie back. That goes because I had this one on.